Welcome everybody to the V4 Future Sports Festival 2021. My name is James Banks and I will be your host throughout the entire event. And we're here at the play-in stage, the very early start of all of this, to see what teams will be able to make it to the main event and to the group stage. Now, I can't do all of this work on my own. I definitely wouldn't want to, but I do have two very talented gentlemen to the side of me. Mr. Natu down here, finally back. You know, it's been a while, mate.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I'm sure you would have wanted to do this alone. Steal the whole show, but me and Kassad,
classic British people.
Yeah,
You know.
we're gonna be nice enough to join you on this journey.
I appreciate it. And then we got Kassad, you know, doesn't know if he wants to be a coach or a talent at this point. You're in the middle of it all.
Nobody knows at this point. Nobody knows what's going on. But yeah, it's a nice event to be a part of. You know, first time I'm working with you, James, and you, Natu, and I did quite a few of this year, and it's actually the first time I'm working with you. So yeah, that's a good thing, I guess.
How do you find it on this side of the pond?
Well, it's less stressful. That's the main thing, and we're talking about this with Yanko a lot. But it's a lot less stress. You know exactly what you need to do, and then just go and do it. But being a coach, it's a lot more problems.
Oh yes, you know. That's definitely the lifestyle that I wouldn't want to do, but you know, you do a good job, Kassad.
No coaching, no team ownership.
Yeah,
avoid all of those if you wanna.
All the bits will just
have a longer life expectancy. So
definitely. Now we're in this play-in stage here, right? And we're going to be doing it's obviously two groups. We can start off with best of ones across all of it, then we move into the best of threes. 4 teams in each group, and they got a great chance here to make it to the main event, push themselves a bit further. But it's certainly, especially at this level of competition, it's not so easy to find it out, right? You look at the tier 2, tier 3, it's actually so competitive right now.
Yeah, it's been madness out there, especially throughout the online era that we've been living through in the last couple of years, only a handful of LAN events, right? And I think that's given a lot of new teams, a lot of new players, the possibility to kind of build their name. And yeah, when you look at the teams that are going to be competing here, it's basically impossible to say who's going to be going.
Getting into a LAN event after pandemic, during the pandemic, you know, it's such a rare thing. And if you have the chance to be with such a high prize pool, as you can see, 150k for the first place and 60k for the second place, it's just massive, right? And all these young teams and new teams coming into the scene, you know, it's a great way for them to kind of make their name, and especially coming in with Gambit after and Big and things like that. And it can be really good for some of the teams here that manage to go to that first stage of the event.
Yeah, everyone's fighting for it, right? Everyone wants to push this little step further. But like you mentioned, a big prize pool. We're also in beautiful Budapest at the same time. Now, I've never been here in my life. This is out of all the times we've traveled to events and done stuff, never been. I'm quite happy to be able to jump in and join in. But this is what we've got in front of us right now. This is where we're starting with now. I mentioned it earlier. We've got the play-in stage. It's 2 groups. The top 2 teams of each one will advance to the main stage and join the 4 invited teams. Now you've got obviously Movistar Riders in there, Gambit, Entropic, Big, all names that we've seen recently at the major as well. There's obviously some clear favourites that would come into this one.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, I think for me at least, if you look at the whole tournament, Gambit is definitely the big fish at the event. But then you don't want to clown out the teams like, let's say, Movistar Riders obviously had a massive ride, and Entropic also had a great showing at the major, right?
And then not so much.
Yeah, hello, Dragon. But Big is factually in a bit of a rebuilding phase.
I mean, we have to give it to them. They're playing today the actual finals of the DreamHack Open.
Yeah.
So against Fnatic, who is also really good. So there's the kind of redemption kind of thing for them for the major. But like you said, Entropic is there. Gambit, that was a top 4. Entropic that had a super crazy run. They didn't make it into the top 8, but they show some great potential there. Yeah. It's shaping up to be a really good event. You know, if the right teams go through, I guess.
And do you know what I do love about this when we look at the play-in stage as well, is obviously we see these teams, the top 4, advance overall, but also for the other teams, they walk away with $4,342 each, even just for getting this far, you know, getting the chance to play on the stage at the same time. For this kind of level of competition, you're going to take that any day of the week.
Yeah, and it's pretty sick setup in there. We've been able to walk around at the venue, and I think for some of these players, that's going to be a first, at least first in a long time, right? So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, the stage looks sick. I mean, the setup stage kind of thing, it looks really cool, you know, something that I personally haven't seen for about 2 years. A year and a half, but yeah, it's nice to see. It's such a close, you mentioned it, Budapest is, is we call it Budimpešta, right, in Serbian. It's one of the nicest and the most beautiful cities in Europe. So it's a really nice place to hold a tournament. I wish the weather was like a little bit warmer, so we can see some more of it. But you know, it's a definitely nice place to be.
Yeah, and we're starting in an aqua park, so...
Yeah, we got to enjoy the spa yesterday as well, just for everyone at home, you know, we got to have our little bit of chill time, you know, get ourselves ready, feel relaxed before we go into it. Now, this is how all the teams got here, we started to touch on it just a little bit. So we had the International Online Cup, then we had the delegates of the V4 Federation come through as well, and then obviously our direct invites that we were just talking about. Now, when we look at the direct invites, right, for me, we saw Gambit in the major, and I'm going to just touch on one bit for those boys. They definitely choked it against Na'Vi when it came to being on a big stage in front of a crowd. Now you're back on land, you put them into a situation like this where there is no crowd. I'm expecting to see the Gambit of old back.
Come on. I mean, I think people have been a little unfair on Gambit. They were top 4 at the major, and people were like, they underperformed and didn't play. Yes, they got absolutely destroyed by Na'Vi, but hey, Na'Vi was destined to win that major from day 1, day 0, whatever. I don't like...
They're not going to be playing from their rooms.
Yeah.
Here. No, joke. That's a thing. Like what Gambit did in a year is just amazing, right? From a tier 2 young Gambit youngsters that won like this tier 2, tier 3 events, right? In a space of a year, they won Katowice, right? And they lost in the Pro League finals, and they were top 4 at the major. Meanwhile, like a series of great results in a space of 12 months. It's absolutely amazing, right? So they lost in the semifinals to Na'Vi, who is absolutely the best team in the world right now.
By far.
So either choke it or not, it doesn't really matter. They showed some, good CS in that event, and they are definitely top 3 team right now.
Definitely. Well, let's see how they'll do when it comes to this event. Certainly the clear favourites with it. We're going to take a look also though at the international, how they got here, and the teams that we had throughout.
Away because they're going for a far short play. Han might not be ready for this. The AWP finds that first pick and that second, looks in for the triple. He's found every single one. May have gone the other way. Han's expecting that backstab. That's at least a pick. Going to come from there either. Petchin now being watched with the eye of a deadly AWP. Han ready for his clutch. 2 kills to his name in a 1v3. See to the flick and he connects it to Samari. Looks for Flea, looks for Coolio, nice spray, easy pickings, scoring with the AK, still holds onto a frag. And the 1v3 clutch scenario, gets his triple, flashbangs to the right, the swing back to the left, seeing Jedka catches each individual fight and wins them all to maintain 3 for BP5. But the wet biscuit in an instant. Bedito left the clutching in the 1 versus 4. He gets 2 picks, but they're on the defuse. 5 seconds to it with a kick. He gets the triple. Got based on Petchin. Oh my god, the fillets! What the hell was this round? Pick, this is definitely encouraging for them, but out of their T side is where there's real chance to pick up for them. Shot, holding defensive here from the center side here with the pistol round out towards his teammate. His shot just gets out of dodge, waits for backup, but still takes engagements of headshots. 3 kills to his name, looking for the Quadra. They just get it, look for the ace as well. Shot needs no support, he can hold the B site on his own. of Impulse, leaving it all to Oscar in a 1v3 clutch. He's found a frag. Should grab that bomb and try to get it planted 15 seconds. They can't deny it. Gonna tap it anyway, and the player peeks in. Bondic getting a bit overzealous, gives up the 1v1. Oscar seeing that last man, and the spray comes up. Key for the ace clutch. If he secures this, I'll be impressed. Swing back, taps on the head of the first man, so a third kill for him. Back against Bloggis, orb shot baited. Dimkey, surely not. Surely you won't do this. Surely you won't do this. Smokes back in, gonna get himself a bit of cover. Swing out to the other side, gets the dink off. Oh my god! Dimkey!
Enjoy some of the frags and highlights coming out of the cup throughout it. And we were just talking about it. You know what? High praise to this movie editor there, because it's not over edited. We got to see the kills. We actually got to see everything looking nice.
That's a first in a while.
Yeah, like we discussed it. Like you just need a song, like no copyrights, all right?
Don't get banned.
Just song and frags. That's all we need.
Yeah.
Just the right song and the right frags, and no effects, no nothing. This was a good job, though.
And it was a good job. Now, Natu, I'm gonna have to bring up this story. You know, we're just rocking it from the airport. You see Bondic in the car, didn't even realise he was still playing. So let's explain this to everyone at home, right? We were having a nice little journey, going to the hotel. Me, Natu, Bondic in the car, and you just turn around, you're like, oh, Bondic, who are you playing for? Like, what?
No, I was literally asking, like, so what are you doing here?
just forgot he was even there.
Ran into you here? Yeah. What are you doing
What a coincidence, yeah. In Budapest, lovely.
You thought he was on the broadcast as well?
Yeah, I mean, could have easily been, right? The Russian speaking. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I mean, he has fallen off a lot, like, since we were discussing.
Thank you.
He's fallen off a lot, and these kind of tournaments are a chance for him to get back on the, on the radar for some, teams, I guess.
Like me, for example.
Yeah.
For Natu to pay attention to it. That's what he's been looking for. Approval from Natu is what we're looking at. What do you make of this Sinners team, though, Kassad?
Sinners, they had a really good run in IM fall. I mean, if you take a look back, it's like they were 3-0 up in the first 3 games. Everybody was like, yeah, this team is crazy. They beat the Complexity, they beat Heroic, and they started with a 3-0. They ended up with a 3-2, losing 16-14 to Movistar Riders and 69 to Astralis, right? Ended up in the tiebreaker where they lost to Movistar Riders 4-0 and Heroic 4-2, ended up 4th in the group, didn't make the playoffs, so the dream about Major was kind of over there. They played in the Pro League, they qualified through ESCA Premier, which was crazy to see. And they were like on the uprise this year a lot. And now they're coming in, they're one of the kind of dark horses or underdogs that can kind of win the whole thing, right?
Yeah. So for me, it's like, if you look at recently, they've lost their last 6 maps in a row. Like, I was watching one of their games and it felt like, I was watching their game against Havu, because that was the first game for Havu in a long time.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity to see how Havu is looking. But
Accidentally looking at Finnish teams, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But Sinners just looked like kind of lackluster. They didn't seem like, because especially players like Neo Frag, he's been very, very good for this team. He needs to also be very good for this team to be anywhere near successful. Oscar obviously too. I saw him, like, Oscar playing in a 2-on-2 situation, almost like he gave up the round already before it was over. Those are not great signs when you see it from a team.
The thing is, like, when you lose a road to major like that, you drop off as a team. You tend to look for problems where they're not there. You tend to the morale drops off, the motivation drops off, and then we see the lineup changes and the problems inside the team. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's nothing, right? Maybe just lost 5 games in a row because of different reasons. But I would like them to like to see them playing good event again and maybe get their confidence back and just move on from the major failure, I guess, for them. Even though they played a really good event, a really good RMR.
And how impactful do you think this Neofrag character is? Because when he first came into it, everyone was highly praised and everyone was bigging him up.
Yeah, everybody was saying he's in between the players, between the teams, in the community, I guess. Yeah. Everybody was saying that he's a really good player. I mean, he showed some crazy numbers before Pro League and in that period. And like everyone else, he dropped off, and him and Oscar are the best players in that team, definitely, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm looking forward to see him in this event. I hope he doesn't finish his performance in the group stage here.
Yeah, I think this is a good type of tournament for them to get on that redemption arch. Like you said, they had a for them, from their point of view, like making it into the playoffs of that RMR would have given them a great opportunity to try to get in the major. Yes, making the major could have been a massive confidence boost, but now that they didn't get their way there, I think this is a good point for them to start kind of building back up again and forget about it. You know, it's in the past now. It doesn't matter anymore. You've got teams here, especially in this phase, that you should be able to beat.
Definitely.
Pretty much all of them. But then going to the next step, let's say you upset a team like one of the invited teams, you know, that's going to be...
Just look at the big picture, like look at this year for us. We have been in EACA, Advanced, Main, whatever. We moved to the Premier one, we qualified for Pro League, we were just one step away from the major. We're doing something good this year, right? There is no need to panic or anything like that. You just need to keep like steady, you know, just see what our problems are and just work on them and just go into the next season. It will probably be even better, you know. No time to panic right now. It was a good year for them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't allow your confidence to be knocked for sure. But in terms of this game against ONYX, right, they should be coming in as kind of the clear favourites, because you look stat-wise, you look at the terms of the actual recent performance. ONYX doesn't really seem to be a team that you can have too much confidence in.
Yeah, like my only concern is, of course, the fact that like Sinners has been playing more against like higher caliber teams, and they have a certain way of playing the game, and then when you do play tier 2, tier 3 Counter-Strike, it can be a very different ball game. Just the way that players react, the teams react.
Now listen, this is a Serbian team, right?
Alright,
Like,
there we go.
It's a best of one. You know what happens on best of one. Sinners did it in IEM Fall, you know, when they were underdogs in a best of one, they were 3-0 and it's a best of one. Here, the Serbian team, I'm here, they're here, you know. I mean, it doesn't relate, but I'm just saying. You know?
Yeah, I just remember hearing some stories about catching a bus tonight for the.
Yeah, that's for Sinners. You know. It's a bus straight to like Czech Republic and Slovakia. But no, ONYX is definitely the underdog here, right? And the only thing that's going for them, if they get the right map and if they start well, you know, it's a best of one overall. You know, the advantages. Like we said, Sinners are not on a best four, right? Yeah. And they have the, you know, that factor of a best of one game. So maybe something can happen. I'm gonna be cheering for them, you know, because they're my countrymen. I know them for like more than 10 years, most of them, all of them actually. The only downside in this case is they swapped the player, you know. They had the JR guy, and they just had to bring somebody from the academy team, and that's a big problem.
Especially coming onto like a LAN setting, right, as well, because you got to look at the experience when it comes to that. The rest of them, fine, no problem with it, but you put someone new into that spot, can be a little bit harder. But that's why I think, at least on ONYX's side, the Bondic, like we may look at his numbers, you may say, okay, we've not seen enough from him recently, but surely this is where he can at least help the rest of the team out in that sense. This should be a bit of home for him.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he does have a lot of experience. He's been around the block a number of times, right? And like you said, your Serbian friends have been playing for a long time, even if they haven't been up there competing with the best. But of course, Bondic can deliver and bring some of the knowledge that he's built from different in-game leaders he's had in the past and so forth.
I don't think so.
Yeah?
If I'm gonna bet on someone on ONYX, it's gonna be Dimke, right?
Yeah.
I know this guy for more than 10 years. He was a great potential. He took some wrong turns in his career, listened to some wrong people, whatever, right? But he's still sharp. And if he gets the right map, right like start, like, you know, right kind of momentum, he can deliver. I'm not sure about Bondic, because I don't know the guy that much, but I know these other guys.
Yeah.
And I think he can be the X factor for them. You know, he can be the man who can deliver the best of one win against Sinners.
Well, let's start the fun part now, because the teams are getting themselves ready to step onto the stage. And to start with, let's introduce you to Team ONYX. and that is a team ONYX. For this team right now, they may be the underdogs coming into it. Obviously less pressure for these guys in a matchup like this. Best of one scenario, we spoke at it, maybe it's something that can benefit them there. But is there a player we can really look at to maybe be able to pop off and show something extraordinary for us here?
From ONYX's side? I mean, you're the best judge.
I pick mine. It's going to be Dimke. If there is anyone that's going to pop up, it's going to be Dimke, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I have high insight into the Serbian scene. So I'm just going to follow Kasad and see how he plays.
Kasad knows it all there.
Well, yeah, he has to, right?
I like when people follow me.
For once, someone actually listens to you.
Well, thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Means a lot.
And
in these stressful times. Being on a bench.
Very stressful times as well.
Are you on a bench?
Well, actually, I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm actually, like, you know, still active.
Floating.
Yeah, but I might as well be on the bench. It's like I have no team. So.
That's all right. Build a new team, you know. Maybe take one of these.
Yeah, that's
maybe take Sinners.
Well, don't you give up any information right now? I'm just joking. Obviously, we're just in the process right now of deciding what we need to do next. Okay. That's the answer. Political one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Diplomatic one.
Answer.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about Sinners, though, right? Obviously, you guys touched on the fact that they did well, right? Coming up into this, Reece themselves not looking so good. Maybe they're hurt by what's affected them. But do you think there is potential in this roster for them to go a step further? Or, like, how hard is it for them to be able to bridge that gap and go further forward?
Yeah, I mean, they've already showcased they can compete against the better teams. There definitely is the potential, but to actually put that into results is not as simple as that.
Well, let's see how simple it is for them to step onto the stage, and let's bring them on. Please welcome on Sinners. Into it, we see Sinners take their seat. We saw a man still playing on 4x3. I'm not a fan of that.
I mean, I still do as well occasionally, but then again, I'm a dinosaur in Counter-Strike. Fair enough, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'll argue.
It's acceptable.
You are a dinosaur. But anyway, Sinners, we saw them, like, we saw Oscar as well there. The man defies every law there is. I mean, he's like, what, 30? And he's like, okay, I'm 30 years old, I'm gonna drop 30 on every game. Yeah. So it's
back again, you know.
It's crazy, right? How good he is. And then if he gets a Neofrag with him, and I don't think there is any chance for them to lose this game. But
yeah, there always is though. The best of one, right? There always is. But in the big picture,
yeah, looking at that, right? What are we thinking then if it is the best of one, where we can look at ONYX maybe having some success when it comes to the map pool?
Yeah, I just think the biggest problem is that Sinners do have two of the best players on the server of this game. Like, I don't think there's any contest there.
Yeah,
that's a massive issue.
The thing is, like, I mentioned this before. I believe, like, ONYX will be looking to get the right map going. They need to get rid of Vertigos and Infernos for them, you know, and Nukes, something like that. They need to go and look inside the Ancient, maybe, trying to get that, or maybe even Dust 2. No, Dust 2 is not going to be the thing. Yeah. Dust 2 or Overpass are not going to be there. So maybe Mirage or Ancient. That's something that I would look for. Yeah. Like a Mirage is a default map. It was the dust to a full Counter-Strike, right?
Yeah.
Unless you really screw up a best of one veto, you will always end up in the middle ground of the map.
I mean, coming into that's the thing. If you're coming into the best of one, you don't need to be ready for multiple maps.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be ready for 5 maps or 6. You just be ready for 4.
Yeah.
Eliminate 3 that you're gonna veto for sure, depending on if you have the higher seed or lower seed. But like I said, here I would go. If I were ONYX, I would go for something like maybe Ancient or Mirage. Try to look mining opportunity to win that.
Some Ancient in there. What are we thinking about Ancient? Big fan of it, Nato, or not so much? Both looking negative.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I try to be open-minded. I feel like the Counter-Strike scene in general is typically always against anything new. When there's change, people are always moaning, like straight from the get-go. And I try to keep an open mind. And I do kind of like it, but the fact is that the more I see, the more it feels to me like it's all just, everything's just happening towards the B bomb side, playing for control on that part of the site. The A bomb side needs to be exploded into oblivion and just reconstructed all together. There's a lot of things that I think this is still like the first evolution in the sense that we see of the map in competitive pool. So I'm sure as we go forward, we're gonna see some changes in the map, and I think it still has potential though.
It has potential to be like in the pool like for a long time if they fix some things. Like for example, for me it's like a mix of Inferno and Mirage. You have banana fight, and you have like a wide open middle, right? And you need to use like 55 different smokes to get middle, and like 7 different magic mollies, and then you have nothing to execute after. It's like crazy, right? And the A site is unholdable. It's just unholdable as a CT.
I think what's mad to me is that if you are in a 2-on-2 situation, for example, and as a T, you're on the A bomb side. I always think like the best play right now is just to go to the other bomb side. Just leave A.
One way to
Just go B. Don't even try to plant the bomb because you're always screwed from some angle anyway.
Well, the one way we get to go, at least in this map pool, is that Inferno it comes down to. We saw Vertigo and Ancient get pushed further down towards the end, but it's an Inferno that will be the decider on it. And Kasaj, you've given up for him already, looking at Inferno?
Well, I don't like this. I don't think Inferno is really good for ONYX right now. And especially they have a new player. I don't know what he's gonna hold instead of JR. Like if they play CT, it's a very difficult map for a CT if you have like a new player brought in. The banana fights and the defense in banana and B side is so crazy difficult if your players are not in sync. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, you can go easily wrong very, very quickly.
Utility, everything else, it's just the timings.
You'll find yourself saving weapons time and time again on the CT side because if you don't have the utility, it's impossible to hold that, have that banana control.
On the other side, Sinners, they love Inferno, I think, and Oscar himself always was good in Inferno, so good luck, ONYX.
So that bus trip might be sooner than we thought.
They should book it right
For the end of the day, the Kassad's given up on them straight from the VO.
Get the VIP package while you're at it. Maybe someone's going to do a bit of a massage over there for the whole trip.
Little upgrade,
A little spa before the bus.
You might have time for it as well. I'm all in with that, but we've done enough talking for now. Natu, Kassad, thank you very much. It's time for us to move on forward. It's time for us to get into our game. It is Inferno, it is ONYX taking on Sinners, and we're going back with Jay and Dweb.
Cheers, gents. Yes, it's going to be a very exciting day as we do get to see 2 teams eliminated over the course of said day, and with Sinners and ONYX taking each other on for the 2nd time in history, Dweg. I'm looking forward to seeing ONYX get absolutely smashed.
I don't know why they've gone Inferno. I mean, for ONYX, right, they picked Inferno in the IOC 3 times. Look at that result against Sinners. They picked it against Sinners. They got 2 rounds. They got absolutely battered on that T side. Maybe it's a confidence booster, knowing that we've done it before. We know what we need to change, but still, 2 rounds when you need 16 to win feels like a stretch.
Yeah, I feel like the oh my god reaction was definitely very appropriate for this map pick. I was kind of looking forward to seeing them try lean towards a nuke or something along those lines, but seeing them bring Inferno out for a 2nd time really feels like a massive oversight. And they were mentioning on the desk how you really are looking towards middle ground and a best of 1, and you only really mess things up if you get to a map like an Inferno. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be a very good best of 1 to open things up for the ONYX side. I am hoping that there is some potential in this matchup, but I think that you'd be silly not to rate Sinners as the massive good favourites coming into this first match.
Yeah, for them, right, when we saw them in the International Online Cup, they didn't even drop a map. They went all the way through. They had that tight game against Vizsla in the upper bracket final, but then when they got into the grand final, when pressure was really on, it felt like they just completely delivered. So coming into this event today, I think Sinners are definitely one of the favourites out of the entire 8 that are here in this group stage. And for them as well, you have a look at some of the players, right? Oscar and Neofrag are definitely going to be a couple that step up. Arrow from ONYX that came in from the talent side, he's only ever played 9 maps on HLTV. He's never played on LAN before, so this is going to be a new experience for him.
Yeah, and that's kind of a bit that I didn't get to touch on the desk, was the fact that they kicked a player for the sake of this LAN. And I'm not sure how much of a smart idea that really is. I guess in the long term it might be a good thing, but Arrow coming into the fold from the Academy side probably indicates that there's probably not going to be a whole lot available to them in this LAN event. Like maybe they could make a decent run, but Arrow is still very, very unproven. So a lot of eyes are going to be on him. A lot of pressure will be on him to perform today.
Well, he's 19, and when JR was still in the team, I'm pretty sure ONYX was the first or second oldest team in all of Counter-Strike. You have a lot of older players where you've got a guy that played in ECA main, he's playing on the ONYX talent side, and what kind of competition are we going to see from then to now? It's a completely different ball game for him, and hopefully we get to see some good signs from him.
Yeah, I think he was competing in the open stage prior to
open,
this. So
the talent are in open, so that's even something to mention too.
So again, very, very different level of competition to what Arrow is pretty much used to at this stage. So again, a lot of pressure on this individual player, but a lot of pressure on ONYX in general, I think. I don't know how deep they're really going to go in this competition, unfortunately, Dwayne. I had some signs of hope seeing them kind of go toe-to-toe during that semi-final, and as well as that, we were sort of questioning about the teams that could have made it through as the other 4 in the International Online Cup, as who's going to be that team that goes above the the main sort of top 3.
Yep.
So ONYX being able to achieve that is probably something already in their favour, but whether or not they can capitalise on that and turn it into a decent run here at the LAN itself is yet to be seen. And again, I have my doubts. Sinners are a very, very tough opponent to take on first and foremost. It is a best of 1 to open things up, which could lead to some upset potential. Kassar was mentioning that as well. I doubt it. I heavily, heavily doubt it, honestly.
We've got to remember, too, we've seen Bondic in a V4 event in the past. 2018, he was here with Hellraisers, where they made top 4. You have a look over at the Sinners side. Oscar actually won the 2018 event and got MVP when he was still there on Mouseboards. Beastic played under Dark Tigers. Zedko was playing under Ecstatus. So we've got a lot of players here from the Sinners side. Even their coach was playing back then. So you've got players on this team that are familiar with this kind of a format, familiar with this kind of a LAN environment. They've been here before, they're here again.
100%. And the experience level over on the Sinners side definitely helps them out. Obviously, Oscar is the guy that we all sort of talk about. I've always also seen that the second in command or the second highest player being a player like Neofrag, for instance. And he's the guy that I think a lot of people are going to have their eyes on in a similar sort of fashion in the other side of the field. I have had some inconsistent performances from him, though. I've been a little bit questionable with whether or not you can rely on him consistently as being one of the top players on this particular side. He can go above the likes of Oscar. Not all the time, though.
Yeah, and well, here we go, straight into the game, Jay. Starting off on Inferno, 4-map winning streak out from the Sinners. Can they make it 5?
That's the big question. I believe we're into the pistol or the knife round, I believe, actually. Get yourself started and decide the sides of the map up here. CT or T-Dwag, which one do you think is favourable for the ONYX side in particular? Because they're the guys that are going to have the pressure on. I feel like they're going to need the better choice of side. And they're not going to get it, so never mind. Ignore that question entirely.
I mean, you look back to that IOC result, 2 rounds on T side when they started. They would have loved to have started CT. But now pressure's going to be on for them. I want to see some loose stuff from them. Impulse with the AWP, to me, caught my eye. Dimki as well, his consistent elements. There are pieces of the puzzle here for ONYX, and a best of 1, if they can all show up together, they can try and make this competitive. But that's what we're getting at, competitiveness, rather than they're going to win this game.
Yeah, and that's the big concern, right? It's the case of winning. And I mean, they have got the lower bracket at the least in the group stage itself, so there is that potential in which they could go ham with it, and they could make at least an upset victory happen. But again, as I've said before, very, very doubtful for the ONYX side. Let's see how far they can go. Let's see whether they can make this at least a competitive affair, or at least show some decency going into that lower bracket game. There is potential in terms of where they could be in the in the group stage itself. But that's all by the by. It's all time to get into the pistol round to kick things off here at the V4 Future Sports Festival. And Sinners will be on the CT start of Inferno. 3-2 split towards that B-bomb site favor. Mid control coming in from ONYX.
Yeah, Oscar with that P250 is already gathering a fair bit of information. Bondic with the bomb, in with a teammate of Dimki, looking to try and get some abs control. And for ONYX, they have left 3 towards the bottom of Banana, and you can see the CT starting to rotate players back over. Haven't had that early contact to Banana, so keep 4 on A.
And just got Zedko with those Julies in the apartments. Bondik and Dimkey could find him, or Dimkey can find Oscar out towards Boilers. That's an opening frag and a secondary follow-up as well for the man. Double up, and Sinners pushed on the back foot to a 5 versus 3 already.
And there really wasn't much to that at all for ONYX, just getting a decent timing, being able to crossfire between one another, get those couple of kills into the apartments, and we saw Kassad mentioning that Dimkey's a player to watch out here for ONYX, already starting things off beautifully.
Yeah, advantage for the T-side camp, 60 seconds for the execution, and still 2 players standing on this A site. Sinners have got the correct read in this context. Still yet to see the execution, though. There is time for rotations, there is time for a fake. There will be no fake on the table for the ONYX camp, though. Hard stack in towards Short, and Beast it can finally find the first kill of the game here for the Sinners side. Only good for 1, though. Bondik with a trade. Neofrag in the corner, not checked. He gets 1 kill and a second. Trying to hold on to that third, but not quite. Dimkey overwhelms, and it's shocking a 1-on-2.
He smoked off from Moto. Difficult situation. And now for Impulse and Dimkey, just play time. Hide. Make sure they peek off one another when the peek finally comes in.
Spotting out the site, Impulse giving away his position. Shock didn't quite catch that information either, but now that's info for the T's to work with. They can play off each other. Both are known to the CT players, so if Shock can find a gap, he can exploit that. Can't land the headshots, though he's desperately tapping and trying to find something out of this, but not to be. Pistol round goes the way of ONYX, and at least that's a much more solid start.
Yeah, that was pretty well played from ONYX. They have themselves a 5-on-3. They just go for the Moto smoke down and just wrap in from short side. Yeah, there's a couple of back and forth trades, but look at how they played that 2v1. No one's wide swinging, no one's overextending, just jiggling, and then finally they peek together, make sure they're not isolating those 1v1s, and get things started.
A decent way in for the ONYX side, and again, we talked about best of 1 upsets. It's high potential, but also Sinners are the powerful squad here. Deagles in, Scouts out for the force buy round. The CTs are standard. We get the upgrades in against the mostly full guns out for the ONYX side. 2 AKs, 1 Galil, 2 Mac-10s. Scope in for Oscar to look down range and look towards Mexico. Might see that first player, or Impulse can just dome him.
All right, another opening man advantage, and I think for ONYX, if they really want to get some momentum up on this T side, opening advantages are going to be everything. And right there, that's the only A player for Sinners. They might just gamble this and say, hey, we're just going to stack up on this B side. If they end up going A, we'll hold on to our weapons, bring it into the next round. If they do hit B, we've at least got a chance of trying to win this round.
Opening in this round itself leaves the A side pretty exposed. Now 1 rotator in Neofrag that will watch out from the long position, and we'll get back towards the site itself as well. Minute to the clock, and execution is again just getting set up for the 1 player to hold off for. Mac-10s will charge in first. Bondik will dive down, not see the individual. Neofrag will struggle to get that kill, but will find a second as well, alongside Arrow there with a quick responsive. So 3 versus 3, decent damage done there by Neofrag.
Yeah, I don't know how much they're actually going to put into this though, Jay. I feel like he needed 3 or another teammate in that situation, because everyone's rotating in. The util's just non-existent, really. You've got a smoke and a flash. That's it for them to retake.
We'll give it a shot anyway. Hand cannons in play. Impulse separated from the main group here on the T-side line. Could also be a nice offside anchor. Zedko gets the tap off, but only the tap. The second player trying to come in and get those trades. So now Shock has an AK to play with. Beastic has picked up that scout in the interim, so this has become a little bit more doable for the Sinners, and they are going to press the issue. In from short, flashbang, keeps Dimkey blind. They don't check Arrow though, so his Galil can chime in. Time's way too far ticked though. I don't think Shock can get the defuse, and he hasn't got a kit. Gets the headshot back on Arrow, and well, time is most certainly up. He's out of there, running for the hills to save that AK. Pretty good damage done. I think Dimkey might also go up with the bomb. Actually, he might be able to get away just in time. There you go, 2-0 to the board of ONYX. Damage done by Sinners though.
I wonder if they force again. I mean, it's definitely a risky play. It's just that you knew so much damage came through from that round. Yeah, you weren't able to convert it. You're able to get 4 kills and save an AK. There's a way in which they can buy down slightly heavy, see if there's another sort of way of wiggle room. So far for ONYX though, these rounds have been tight. It's still a 2-0 position.
Yeah. We'll see what the buy looks like in a short few moments' time. ONYX definitely in a correct position, an appropriate angle to hold for them. Definitely where they want to be, considering how good the Sinners are. But they will not force the issue around this, but just buy down a couple of more Deagles to the likes of Oscar and Neofrag. The AK stays on Shock. Another deagle for Zedco as well, so a little bit more firepower, but not a definitive force buy for the CT forces. I mean, they could still win this round, and Oscar gets the right start. Shot onto Dimkey, smoke off towards long.
Very dry there from ONYX in that brackets control, not getting that long smoke down straight away, no flash over the top, allow Sinners just to peek in on a jiggle, get that deagle in to at least find some sort of level of impact, and even for Shock with this AK positioned in a close angle position out in default, ONYX though, they're going back to the banana control.
Fast rotation, they've drawn all the players in from Sinners, a 5-man stack over on this A site. So when the execution comes in, probably shouldn't be seeing too much in terms of defensive. Maybe they might force it back on a retake. They have got the man advantage at the same time. AK in for Shock. The concern is, of course, the fact that it is a B-side retake. The blind shots from Neofrag is going to make it a bit more justifiable because both Dav and Ara have been tagged to 55 and 59, so now there's a HP advantage involved.
Gee, this looks really decent for Sinners, and you'd have to imagine, just look for exit kills from here. Try and save the AK and just put as much pressure on to keep these teams stuck in the bomb site.
Blind shots are getting blisteringly close. Quite connecting those kills, so they're trying for the wall bangs behind the safe areas here at the church position. Back over to CT cross. Smoke still in effect as Arrow just waits back at the Shire. AK turned in towards that corner, and neither side takes engagement. Find the CT's forced out, and Beastic can fall. Shock will lose the AK. They will try their hand at the retake, and they will all fall apart. One trade for Neofrag, turn away by Dav, and Oscar. Close range, doesn't quite win that fight against Dav, so ONYX will maintain the 3-0 start and also start to build back the economy.
It looked a bit ugly, I'm going to be honest, in that round, but they recovered it. And that's the important thing there for ONYX. Things just don't get out of hand. And when you have a look at Sinners in their most recent form, Jay, they're on a 3-game losing streak. They lost to AGO when it came to Premier. They lost to Harvu, getting invited into that Pinnacle Full Series event. And then also in Tropic only a few days ago, where they had a difficult time. Now, 2 of those 3 teams are here in the event. They'd love to turn things around in a BO1.
100%. Again, best context for them to be able to turn it around in general. I don't see them winning a best of 3 against Sinners, that much of a certainty. Rifles come in the 4th round. Guns out, M4s for Marses. And again, the default plays out towards mid. A lot more carefully placed this time, not quite as committant from the ONYX camp. Smokes go down, the Molotovs press in, the sprays will come through. But neither side able to connect damage. It's Beastic that gets tagged up first.
Yeah, ONYX really just leaving Banana completely open. Not taking it early round just means with a little bit of util, allows Beastic to get quite aggressive. Another resmoke goes down, so it's going to make it even more difficult for ONYX to get a read on just how much information has really been gathered in this play. And for Sinners, they can just leave Beastic to jiggle in and around the half wall, rotate Neofrag back over.
Watch for information. Shock still has his eyes set towards the outside of the smoke. No gap here. You've got to boost the player above instead, and they don't see anything for that. Again, ONYX very carefully placed in the mid position. They'll try and take Banana back. Counter flash in from Beast. They could suppress them. He's going to fall back to the site.
Now, Neofrag's rotating back over with Shock. Now, between these guys, they really don't have a lot of util at all. It's actually the A players of Zedco and Oscar is the one that's got the smokes.
Molotovs in for the execution. Flashbang spray through. Beastic can catch the kill with Neofrag's assistance. Dimkey has fallen. He burns back a second. They probably heard that, and they can hunt him down. So 1-for-1 of the trades back, and Sinners will try and rotate into the retake positions. 2 players are already there. They'll boost up Neofrag, but Shock gets taken down through the smoke.
Oh, they've left Bondic as a lurk. Look at this. Now they're going to gather all of the information that no one's coming down for this Banana position, and Sinners are just saving. This is a 4-0 start in from ONYX, and with the true rifle round coming in, they lose 1 player.
We're about to look very silly if they start to really turn this into a map victory at this stage. Not the best of starts for Sinners. You're right about that, though. 4-0 for the ONYX camp, and it's not looking all that pretty. The save call is definitely justified. You can see the money on the left-hand side of your screens and how it's got max loss bonus, so they probably do force around this, but it's still not great in terms of the long-term money gain. ONYX, well, their CT start has been fantastic. 4-0. AKs will just stay in play, and now the economy worries that they are in at the early game no more.
And I'm going to add you to my judgment right here, Jay. Take a tactical.
Yeah.
4 rounds in, things haven't looked like that great in the last round. You could see how early on they're getting baited at their util. Even in that play towards the B site, yeah, that from us is able to do some decent damage, but with all that spam coming through with the flames and hearing those footsteps, easy trades come out, rotations are still slow, and for ONYX, this has got to be confidence at an all-time high.
Rifle setting the SMG on Beastic for Master Shock, so again, max loss bonus. Force around the 3 M4s that they've got. Zedco Wait ahead of benches. Impulse takes his fight and wins it against Oscar. Zedko is at least there for the trade, but needs that second, and Dimki is going to catch him off guard with Util in hand. So 4-on-3 advantage for the ONYX side, and Sinners are getting outplayed by these boys in a fashion we weren't expecting to see.
Well, you have a look at that position right there. Oscar dies so early on that there's no one there to get Zedko out of trouble, and it just means that Impulse can find that first pick. Dimki's already getting from second mid into first, and even on this brackets play, you've got Beastic on long side with an SMG.
Going to wait back there over at the Arches. Expect there to be some sort of playing through the smoke, or just to wait and hold that position, leave it all to Shock to defend the short control. 71 points of health, native back, Molotov the way, Smoke in to try and extinguish it, and Dimki will isolate him as he peeks out, gets his double up, and secures the site for ONYX. This is looking pretty stellar from these boys.
Yeah, things are looking decent, and honestly, they're not bringing a massive amount of overcomplicated stuff. It's default heavy, they're peeking on each other very well, their util usage is on point, and multi-kills is definitely something that's pushing them through. We've seen Dimki have some decent rounds, Arrow from time to time, Impulse is starting to get involved, and we haven't even seen Impulse on the orb just yet.
Yeah, and that's scary because he might be getting it out right now, and him being at 5 kills deep thus far, you can imagine that he's probably going to have even more impact with that weapon. Dimki's found 3 kills in this particular round. So lots of individuals stepping up at the right moments, and ONYX are again just looking absolutely fantastic against Sinners. Guns might not be afforded here. We'll get to see the buy as it turns out. A little bit lopsided. You've got guys like Zedgo that can buy, Beastic can't. Neofrag probably drops a weapon to him. I think Shock and Oscar buy around it as well. Seems to be the likely play, right?
Yeah, Oscar buy into an AWP, get that 1 M4 to drop at least something. It should see a full buy on the table here. And maybe this is an opportunity to mention ONYX's run in ESEA Advanced, because that's one of the only leagues that have BO1s for the regular stage. They're 70th out of 74 teams, 0-4. They played Inferno against Dark Tigers, had a tough time there. They've lost to D13, Pact, Fade, who I've never even heard of. So you've got a team like this who, against low-end competitions, have struggled. Right here, though, it's looking good.
A tactical pause taken by the Sinners side. You mentioned earlier you wanted to see a tactical.
One round earlier.
Listen, a round is a round. It's a very, very slight difference in that respect. Either way, it does come through for them, and I think that's the right time to call it here. Not being as amazing on the start as they want it to, so just take one of those 30 seconds, take a bit of a moment to chill, rediscuss, readjust, re-strategize, figure out where we go in terms of round number 6, and they will get the buys out. AWP for Oscar, SMG for Beastic, and the AWP also does come out for Impulse.
Yeah, Oscar's going to have to step up. I'm seeing at least a boost attempt coming through from this porch angle, and so far, ONYX are so passive this round, not taking apartments control, not getting up second mid, not contesting Banana, just slowing this whole round down.
Seem to be pretty standard for their default, so they've got pretty passive in general. Tapping over the apartments, hoping if somebody's up there, they can get a headshot or at least a bit of damage into the early round. Not to be in this particular case. Beastic will walk down towards the bottom of Banana in that wood stack. We'll wait here and just hope that they wrap that corner and get all the frags as necessary. They won't do so, though. Again, ONYX playing so carefully here.
It's going to be a difficult position to clear out Zedko. You'd have to imagine either a molly up from porch or a smoke over the top onto long and a flash just to try and force him off angle, because they're going to take brackets again.
Molotov's in, Zedko waits, Shot going to push ahead of the game, can counter flash there from ONYX to keep him at bay, allowed him to get a peek out of Boiler. Look for Zedko as well, he does on that trade, but now there's 3 other T-side players around that corner. Impulse gets involved, Zedko does find his double, but the AWP doubles up of his own right, and Arrow catches Beastic back towards that Banana position. The SMG forcing forward, and now Neofrag's alone. A 1-on-3 scenario, and the tactical did nothing for Sinners.
Hey, I am well impressed here by ONYX on their default. So we see the way they take the brackets control. Dimki's just jiggle peeking out from Boiler, and he's able to isolate that crossfire, deal with that long player. It just allows Impulse to start getting those trades up on short side. He gets a couple of kills, and then, okay, 3v2 situation. Looks like they're going A. They have left Arrow as a super late lurk in the bottom of Banana. He's able to find a pick. Neofrag has to back off and save. ONYX's streak is getting out of hand.
Yeah, this is starting to get concerning now here for the Sinners side. They need a round very, very quickly, and you could just take a look at the numbers over for those boys, and Neofrag is the only guy that's really having impact, and even he's below par. You've got guys like Oscar, who's probably the star player of the roster. He's on a single kill thus far.
Yep.
That would time to be scared. Time to be very scared, I think, for the Sinners side. ONYX looking fantastic, and they've come into this one with a game plan. Like, maybe we shouldn't have been so scared about the Inferno pick as we should have thought.
No, I disagree. I think you have a look at their results on Inferno in the International Online Cup against Sinners. Okay, to be fair, against Infinite and Asuba, they had better results, but you can't classify them in the same sort of caliber. When they took on Sinners, they got 2 rounds. When they took on Fiend, they got 7. So I'm looking at it as the perspective of, okay, they're going into a best of 1 against a top 30 team in the world. Are you really picking into something you've struggled on? Maybe they've done some homework, because it looks like they have.
Got some sort of game plan ahead of them. They're executing it to perfection. M4's in for 2 individuals over on the Sinners side. A slight rebite. The Deagle's out for the other 3 to get themselves on a generally decent flow for the max loss bonus, get the money together, and rebite in the next round. 6-0 for the time being. Looking like it should go 7, especially as Neofrag, one of those rifle players, does get taken down. Got B-Stick ahead of the curb. Deagle in the midst of the smoke, hoping he can catch one of those players off guard. Dimkey is susceptible to death. But even then, in case of holding off against the rest of the players, that's the concern.
It seems like they're just going to leave the AWP posted. They can keep Impulse up on the half wall. They can start rotating players back over to brackets. A lot of indecision coming from Sinners on how they want to play the CT side. Even if Shock Jiggle peeks into this CT line, you'd have to imagine Impulse is going to hit the shot.
Ready and waiting with pistol in hand. 3 players now to the defensive line, and that's all because the Zedco's push up towards that second mid position. Smokes go down, incendiaries come up, counteraction of the utility. B-Stick's going to burn quite heavily, and he will go down. Well executed, arrow credited with the kill, and Dimkey with his head tucked below the smoke does not catch Oscar. Oscar hits the arrow instead, trade it back, does not hold on for long though. Dav there with a very fast responsive, so Smokes back to the cross. They've got Shock out towards Coffins, 4 on 2.
Now, even though they didn't clear that area of the flower pots too perfectly, they trade instantly. They don't allow a multi-kill, they don't allow a way into that round for Sinners. And for Zedco, you might as well try and see if you can get Shock into some sort of position. You really want to save the M4, you don't want to lose it.
I'll try to look for the exit frags, but ultimately his best call is to fall back out, save the weapon like you mentioned. Makes a lot of sense. 7-0 now. Sinners yet to score, and this map is not the start they wanted in the V4 Future Sports Festival, I'll give you that. ONYX can just get that final exit onto Shock. That has a little bit of a consolation prize, an extra trophy in the cabinet. Because at this stage they have the round, they have the lead, they're going to continue to stack up said lead. When the Sinners turn this around, when do they start getting going here? They've looked so quiet in this early game.
Yeah, players aren't showing up like they should do. The AWP hasn't been able to find a massive amount of impact. We've seen Oscar being out to have the big green gun in a few of these rounds. He hasn't found much, so you'd have to imagine a tactical might be coming through in the next couple of rounds again if things still get out of hand. You could see Dav being able, on that ONYX side, to start communicating with the rest of his team. You have to think, too, for ONYX, don't get cocky in this situation. 7-0, it's looking good.
7-0 for the ONYX camp, seeming like they're in a really, really good spot again. They're going to continue playing out this exact same strategy as time rolls on. We have got east-side defaults into the apartments being a bit more loud and aggressive here on the case of Dimkey. CT players, they're down upon that banana control. The taps will just continue. Nades on towards the boiler position. Try and drive players away.
Yeah, ONYX just being able to go back into what's working so many times. It seems as if it's a commonality that they're just not taking banana early round. They're giving that respect up for Sinners. Now starting to put some of those nades back into this brackets control. No one is short side for Sinners.
No casualties just yet, just damage being done in small amounts. Nothing major. Boost up for Neofrag. Will continue to keep his eyes on. Continue to look down towards that quad position. Knives out. Players rotating. Blind of Oscar will get legged to 16 points of health. Again, another big pickup to start things off. Not a kill, but they will drive him away, and he's very susceptible to death. He's the only player on this B defense.
Yeah, they're going to start getting a rotate back over from Neofrag. At least get that smoke down. 30 seconds left. A gap in that right-hand side he can work with.
It's exploitable. Let's see them push onto it. And he gets that first shot. Arrow down. First casualty of the round at the 25-second marker. Neofrag also outside of the site, ahead of that smoke. Will try and get back out of dodge. Might can see the bomb plant at this stage, but the retake is on. Shock is going to kill. B-Stick boosts up. Gets himself a double. Can't quite make it a triple. And Neofrag is there to close out the round. Get that first on the board for Sinners at long last.
It just shows shows how important the opening man advantage is, and I don't even know if that smoke was a mistake or it was actually intentional for Oscar. Having that gap in that right-hand side allows him just to work on the edge, get that first pick, and even that boost up to flower pots on for B-Stick, allow him to start getting involved, and you'd have to imagine that that's got to be a positive feeling for Sinners finally breaking this streak.
At long last, things starting to turn around for the better here for the CT forces. The smoke's on, the Molotov's back towards that wood stack position. Dimkey watches again this default towards the apartments, and Oscar has him marked off. Now he's going, now he's looking great. Now he's found that first pick for the CT forces, and B-Stick will also push up towards this banana control and try and attack from another side of the map. But just that first kill, nothing else coming in.
It seems that there's some life in Oscar now these last couple of rounds, and for ONYX, if they have to try and retake this brackets control, they'll have to either molly out to that right-hand side or make sure they've got enough players to peek together. It doesn't seem like they're that interested on retaking it, though. Getting re-smoked off means that it's going to waste even further time, and a couple of those footsteps being heard onto the bomb carrier.
SMG continuing to hold his position, the bomb being dropped, Impulse to put the smokes up, the flashbang at the ready. The AWP of Oscar continuing to watch here. Shock suppressed as the flashes do go over. It's 40 seconds. CT's held back. ONYX will press the issue slowly and wait for the execute to come in. They could also wrap archers here. They've got it completely open and no one from the CT side is watching it.
Shock looking in, spots out Dav, even reading there could be one of those backstab plays. They've got to start getting a move on. Time is low.
3, Arrow falls now to 2. AWP sees the shoulder bait and will catch Bondic on the second face. Impulse to clutch it all, and he will find that one frag, but he needs to get a full-on ace on 7 points of HP. It's just not going to happen. He's got to save.
It could get hunted after time because all of this information is going to start coming through from Neofrag. The positioning, he might spot him.
Eyes held back here inside of the apartments, just waiting to catch Neofrag next and will land it. I think the CTs might be a bit too far away to hold off and get this kill together, so it will just be Impulse staying alive for the time being. Again, saving that weapon after a very solid hold from the Sinners side. 2 now to the board. The streak is most certainly broken for ONYX.
Yeah, it's only a glimpse, though. It's a blip on the radar. Yeah, it's a couple of rounds for Sinners. We need to see more before we can really start saying, all right, they're getting back into the game. It feels like they're starting to get more involved. And for ONYX, they'll look at this and say, okay, we've still got a pretty good lead here. Money situation's very good, so let's just stay calm, stay composed, and let's go back to what was working before with these brackets takes.
Very early tactical pause coming in from the ONYX side. Moment to discuss things and figure things out. Discuss where we want to go about this and how we're going to, again, adjust against the very early start coming in from the boys over from the Sinners. Their streak being so solid and so efficient and so proficient at the start of the game, this could be the momentum swing for the ONYX, for the Sinners boys, I should say. So now's a great time to break the momentum if possible.
Yeah, try and see if they can get back in. It feels as if now maybe need a star player to open up, get a Dimkey with a couple of entry kills, something like that. An opening man advantage would be great. Now even seeing some nades up towards the top of Banana, so more difficult for Sinners to take Nana control this time.
Molotov's in, smokes down as standard, pretty similar sort of utility setup to the previous round. And again, similar plays in from Dimkey going out to the apartments, down from Boiler already. Doesn't spot anybody yet. Yeah, it's passive again from the CT forces, but it might be still worthy of a hold. They haven't checked the box corner. Zedko and Beastie can hold on to these 3 picks. Zedko gets a double up. And just like that, they capitulate. Arrow, 1 on 5. Will Spot Shock at least get that 1 kill and land this last shot onto Zedko, but doesn't hold on against Oscar's AWP. So 3 to the board. Didn't check that corner though. That's pretty sloppy there from ONYX.
It's not even that. Where's the comms? Bondic died to the guy in the corner. How is that not being communicated over to Dimkey? He's just sitting there at the pillar and he's looking at Pit. So yeah, first of all, they don't check the corner. Second of all, a player dies to that position and they seemingly just don't know.
Wonder where we go from here now, ONYX. 3 rounds against their name. They have got another buyback into this one. The Galil for Arrow, AWP's in for Impulse, and Oscar, who will challenge each other directly. Economy starting to flourish for the CT forces. Now the money's in the toilet here for the T's.
And starting to get some banana control. Now we can see some variation here for ONYX, probably realizing, okay, these last few rounds we're starting to lose a lot of information plays, so let's start getting aggressive.
Nades down, smokes out, flash forward, Beastic sees Arrow, gets that frag. Dimkey there with a responsive. Dav can hold off against Neo Frag, and Oscar's nade will get the trade. Dimkey down at low HP as well, so it's a slight advantage here for the Sinners side, but in a 3-on-3 scenario, Dimkey's trying to find a responsive, and he could well get it. The flicks through the AWP wallbang, not connecting to the man. So for now, we sit at evens.
And that was very much high risk, high reward there for Dimkey. Low HP, trying to wide swing onto the AWP, seeing if he can create an opportunity. Back in towards the A site, there's a player out from long that's going to get smoked. Zedko might be able to spam through. Only damage onto Impulse, and finally dealing with Dimkey.
Bondic there to respond out of the apartment's entrance, missing his smoke there, so that could cause a couple of problems. There's already a motor smoke in place, however. Incendiary's up, bomb will go down. They will force Impulse away, but both players are now at half HP or thereabouts. M4 swinger, Zedko, Impulse lands him with the AWP, and Oscar shot, mid pistol pulled out, looking for the headshot, but no, Impulse a bit quicker on the trigger, and it will be ONYX that win the T-half.
I'm sure Dinko and Orca are going to be familiar with Impulse, playing in the UK scene once upon a time.
I'm familiar with Impulse.
Well, of course, yeah, but you didn't know when we mentioned it in the IOC. What,
Okay,
did he play for Endpoint?
Fair.
I'm going to rip in there. But no, hey, this is a guy that not just him, but we've mentioned it with this whole team, have been around the block for an incredibly long portion of time. And Impulse with the close range in that 2v2, really delivering.
High pressure environment in that context. The AWP ideally wants to be somewhere else, really. He made it work, and that's the important thing here for the ONYX side, and we praise to him for that. Keeps the economy in play as well. Again, they had no money coming out of that last round, so to get the round victory itself might not come forward for this round, however. Shot with his 2 kills. Zedko has been responded towards by the AWP at least, and now Oscar's up. They're going to strike back towards long. Nades on towards the brackets. I think they actually hit the wall, so it's going to bounce out towards long. Neofrag's got the backlines covered though. Peeks out of Banana, finds Dav.
Very cheeky from Neofrag, just knowing that they're not interested in Banana at all. He just pushes through the smoke when he sees how much contact and pressure is being applied out there from brackets. 4v2, even though Shock is low, this is near impossible for ONYX to win.
Impulse just continuing to look out the apartments, hoping that someone's going to wrap over towards that mid position, just in case they can catch an overextending CT. Nobody's going to do that, though. Out towards the Banana position is where the T execution will come from. They've spotted out Arrow. Haven't seen that bomb just yet, so it could just be a ruse. Still rotate that second player onto that B site, and there's 45 seconds to play with, so ONYX, they have options.
And Neofrag's still got a HE, so if he times it right, this could still do a hell of a lot of damage. I like the angle that Beastic's playing here in CT. It all just comes down to, does Impulse put that smoke to CT or Coffins?
30 seconds, Incendiary is on towards Coffin's position, slowed down to the cross, blind fire. Neofrag waiting for his chance to strike, flash in, AWP peaks, drops that bomb, now 20 seconds for Arrow to clutch it. And this youngster, this new boy on the block from the Academy side of the ONYX side, 13 seconds, need to get that bomb plant soon. He's tapped it. Forced the CTs forward, and now they know that he's off it. Tap it a second time, Oscar will be ahead of the game. Good kill. Not quite the triple, now he's going to go for the plant. Now Beastic can deny the whole round right here. He'll go for the pullbacks and miss out. And he'll just get it at the last tick. Ballsy stuff from Arrow, but not getting that third kill really cost him.
He has to get the bomb down there, or at least attempt to do so. There's no way he can tap it and try and draw the fight. Even if he does, even if he gets into the 1v1, he can't win the round. So rather than being in a position like that, just force it. If you die, then you're not going to die after time. That whole one there just came down to poor spacing in the apartments. We saw the way the Impulse was able to get at least that one ult pick back, but they were still, in that 3v4 situation. Neofrag aggressors down from Banana. He gets it into a 2v4. And overall, for Sinners, it feels like finally they've got some gas going. And even for Shock, aggression out from the balcony does only get one.
So they've got gas in the tank, but still got some left for the ONYX side as well. Good shot in from Dav to be able to 4 versus 4. Can grab that rifle as well on Bondic's part. Solving the apartments for the time being. Won't push ahead of the curve, won't overextend. We'll just leave his teammates in that mid position. He'll rejoin them in the end. The bomb's still back over towards stairs, so Arrow's going to have to rejoin them at some point soon. But for now, play out the time and try getting overextension against Sinners.
I wonder if that's too much confidence there to come in from Sinners. They know they're up against an eco reading the economy, and they lose an opening 1-for-1. It allows Bondic to get an AK, and out towards the long position, Neofrag might be able to start spamming through. They've been quite decent with the spams in from this long smoke.
Still slow walks in, smokes down at Moto. Incendiary doesn't CT forces. Close range for Oscar. Only lands a tag against the man. The USBC still find the frag back towards Arrow. Zedko also gets involved with the SMG, but eventually that orb is a little bit too close. And Neofrag and Zedko are forced to try and get the rotations together and find themselves the round itself. AK's picked up. AWP recovered. 5 to the board of Sinners, and well, they might have lost the half, but they can still make it close at 7, and they're on track to do so.
Yeah, and when we look at Inferno out the course of the International Online Cup, it was their CT side that, by the looks of it in the games that they won, is where they really put pressure on. So knowing they've got 8 rounds on T, if they can stretch it to 9, they'd put themselves in a grand position going into that second half.
CT positions held, the AKs. It's the M4s. 1 AK safe for Zedco, and it's the only one that they could really get out of this one. It was recovered off their dead teammate in the apartments. Also flying for ONYX at this stage. Won't leave them any cash in for round 15 if they do lose this one, so ideally a round win's got to come on the board for them. Same thing could also be said for Sinners, however. Their economy line's still not great. Had struggles with money throughout the course of the entire half, and that could come back to bite them here.
A decent read from Oscar with the AWP. Arrow actually just taking that first fight onto Neofrag towards the top of Banana. And it has been a while, Jay, since we've seen an opening man advantage from ONYX without being traded back.
And the start out for Arrow staying alive. At 10 points of health, he's barely alive. Shot couldn't get the trade out towards Woodstack. 4 players in the Banana position will just keep themselves held together. The smokes will start to clear, and they'll consider some sort of rotations back towards that Banana, the mid control, I should say. Banana's still being held pretty solidly, and the CTs don't want to aggress on towards these entry positions. They'll just hold the entryways themselves and wait for the T's to act.
Yeah, Bondic might overextend, get caught off by the AWP. That gives up the advantage and pretty much now gives the information to ONYX. They need to act, need to commit towards a B-site execution.
All important pick back for the AWP. Counter smoke in, perfectly timed there from Shot. Got Arrow first out of the gate, easy kill. Dimkey's also tagged up. Beastie can trade him, needs to get down close. He's not seen him though. I think caught off by 4 by 3, and that'll be a 2v2.
This is a good position for ONYX to try and work with. CT's being split, Oscar's still alive, and between him and Zedco, they've got no incendiary, so they can't force any positions, and the T's are actually getting aggressive.
Forcing their way in towards Zedco's position. Oscar's going to be completely open to the site. They won't know that until Zedco takes the engagement, though, and that's the big problem here. They'll slow walk in, and one player will start to rotate away. Zedco got to win this fight, and Dad's got it on lock. Order Oscar now. 9 frags deep. He does land impulse for his 10th. A flashbang over. AK swap towards here. A counter nade as well. Taps that bomb once. Doesn't do damage towards Dav. Dav making a bit of noise. Takes a firefight spray, and Oscar wins out the trade. To hold the defuse, I think he'll just have it for the Sinners.
Oh, okay. That 2v1, what's going on there? They get a pick onto Zedco. All right, there's no follow-up trade, so he's probably Banana side. Why is Impulse even jiggling the angle? They could just play the 2v1. They isolate 1v1s. They give up opening fights. They could have just played time or even peeked together, and instead they possibly pressure got to them in that one. And for Oscar, that's a beautiful clutch to win.
Indeed it is. 6 now to the board of the Sinners. And again, still could be on for their 7th, especially with the buy-up for ONYX not looking great. They've got the AKs across the board, but the utility sets are so limited here. They've got a couple of smokes, a couple of flashbangs, a couple of mollies, no HEs. Got guys like Bondic, there's no utility whatsoever. And already Neofrag has found Arrow to take away some of that utility, remove him from play.
Yeah, slight gap in that right-hand side. Nice positioning in from Shock. This is going to catch Bondic off guard. Clearly you would expect it actually goes the other way. He can't quite follow up, and Dimkey struggling to get that trade off.
Got to get out of the apartments. His teammate spotted. Meanwhile, Neofrag strikes out towards Banana, gets Dav the drop. I think he might have the bomb with him as well, actually. Dimkey and Impulse left out towards the top of that second mid position, a 4-on-2 scenario. And the CTs just have full control of this one. Neofrag continue to sneak around. He'll catch off the likes of Impulse. Miss him actually by a little hair. Dimkey can strike back out towards mid, so Zedco is traded, but if Neofrag gets this pick, that's basically just going to be round over. No way that Dimkey recovers the bomb from this. A minute to go, smoked off, 1v3. It will be 7 to the board of Sinners.
Yeah, we've seen some crazy stuff in the past from Dimkey, but this round is incredibly tough. At least he's got a smoke to try and put down. The flash is so well timed. They can peek on each other, and Neofrag's able to find that pick. Now, what I've seen here from ONYX on T side is their trading has been pretty decent. Their entry frags have been good as well. The issue is just how much open space is getting taken by the Sinners. How many times Neofrag's just walked through the bottom of Banana smoke and no one is even watching it. They've got no lurk at the bottom of Banana.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a consistent problem, honestly. Like, it's been exploited time and time again. So probably something to fix up. I guess probably not really too much of importance into the second half. Now they're going to swap sides. Sinners able to recover their CT half, though. And I do have some concerns about that because usually more times than not, the CT sides generally tend to be a bit more fruitful, I guess, on Inferno. I know that Sinners have a bit more of a balanced basis, but CT is still pretty significant to their own name. So, again, talking about that upset potential for the ONYX side, they're on the right track to do so.
Yeah, I thought that for a while. The problem is you're up 7-0 and you only got one more round after that. So momentum has definitely been taken away. If they can get a good start in the pistol, that might be them sort of kick-starting their way back in. Some tight angles being held. Dav playing towards the top of Banana completely solo. They've actually got a bait play in mind. They've got Arrow playing back down towards that dark position and aggressed up into the apartments. Very passive from Sinners and very silent too.
Boost up just for Neofrag to watch for anyone that might aggress. Expecting that ONYX will be the ones to make the plays. They are on the back foot, in spite of being in the lead. So if they're going to be the upsetting team, they're going to have to try and do something relatively soon. But now the CT side happy to sit pretty. And so are the Sinners. They've caught off the early damage to Bondig. Not a kill just yet, though.
Start the rotate back out. Oscar seeing if he can gather any information in from that brackets position. He gets caught off, and it seems to be the misread from the ONYX side. They're actually bringing that bomb from the T perspective back into brackets, or at least that's sort of the opportunity. They've still got a smoke and a flash to work with and a decoy for Shock. Now, he hasn't seen any further aggression come in from Boiler or to the end of the apartments. There's still 45 seconds to work with.
Oscar's been dropped out towards mid, so that's a start for the ONYX side in this pistol round. That bomb committing towards the apartment, still got that lurker ability because we're going to have to join them pretty soon. The utility is on him if they want to go for the execution basis. Still no rotate. Is this going to be a dry pot, perhaps? They've got a decoy for Shock. I don't know how impactful that's going to be. Footsteps heard, the CZ spray for Bonnie. That's not going well. He's really low HP, so he gets traded very quickly. Dimki doesn't last long either. Neofrag with a responsive, and Zedko is low, so 3-on-3. They need Beastie to get to position. He's now out towards that long control. We'll try to cut off these rotators. Impulse might not be detected. The kit's been spotted as Zedko finds Impulse to the 3-on-2 advantage now.
Oh, they're starting to bottle it, aren't they? Sinner's starting to come back in. Neofrag pressed up aggressively towards that back wall. Yes, they've got a kit in play, but still no one is peeking from Sinners.
Neofrag just hold back. Smoke seen. Dav gets ahead of the game, but doesn't check his corners once again. And Zedko firing just at the edge of that smoke will catch Arrow's head, bring in the pistol, and bring it even for Sinners.
That's got to be frustrating for ONYX because they did a lot right in that round. They were able to isolate that lurk play from Oscar in from brackets, get themselves a 5v4. It seems as if even up against the Apps pop that doesn't even have the pop, it doesn't have the flash. Okay, that CZ's going to do damage. Dimki and Pitt's going to be able to get a couple of kills. And really, the Anchors just got absolutely mowed down.
It's a big start for Sinners in the second half, exactly where we want them to be. The MAC-10s, the AKs coming out. Pistols on the force buy again for ONYX, pretty characteristic for the CT second round buy. Moving digit out towards that mid position. Dim up the SMG, overwhelmed by shot to SMG. MAC-10 beats MP9 apparently. Again, starting things off for the Sinner side with the opening frag this time. Shock's on 4 points of health, so he might not be able to last much longer here. Deal of Impulse will try to fight onto him, get that kill back to a 4 versus 4, but B-Sticks SMG is also going to come up good against him. Neofrag trades, and Arrow and Bondik know that they've got no chance in this round. A lead is now gained by Sinners, one that they've been hunting for all match long.
Yeah, Arrow and Bondik just holding on to at least what they can, have something going into that next round, hope to do some further damage, try and see if they can keep that economy line as low as possible. It's not really going to be that easy though. Sinners getting up to 9 in the lead back, and kind of crazy that we can have the perspective of going into round 18, they're going to have a lead when they were 0-7 down. It was such a slow start in a BO1 too.
I hope that they haven't burned through all of their energy at this stage here on the ONYX side, because it's a relatively common trend actually for a fake upset, if you will. Teams will just go ham in the first few rounds and then somehow just not manage anything in the second half, the later stages of the first half, which is exactly characteristic for how this game has gone so far for the ONYX side. 9-8 now for Sinners. And what was looking like it might well have been an impressive showing is still yet to truly come to fruition here for the Serbians. Yet to find a round so far in this half. So you've got to question what is going on in their comms, what is going on in their heads right now.
Yeah, it's just got to be coming down to mistakes being exploited, and unfortunately those are only really things that you can iron out once the game's already over and you can look back. For now, you just got to focus on what you know, go back to at least what was you practiced in some of the other officials and what you've done coming in for preparation up towards this top of Banana. So much util.
Nades on, damage done, but Arrow still comes away with the opening frag. Beestick caught a lot of players out here, actually. Those nades still not catching. Arrow Shock struggles with spray. Does manage to make it a 3k transfer. And the USP of Impulse doesn't last long on the A site, leaving it all towards Dav. Back over on that B play. Beestick fell first, but other than that, it seems like it'll be casualtyless here for the Sinners.
Well, I'll say that it was a decent attempt there. They're able to start swinging in from different angles. They've got some verticality. Yeah, they're able to catch off the first, but in terms of a follow-up, even though damage is being done, it doesn't quite happen. And Dav's now the last one left, hoping that one of those rifles is going to be there. But hey, they got rid of it. So, not going to happen.
Good call there for Sinners.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't get their hands on the AK. Or was it a MAC 10? Not sure what Beestick had. Either way, they're not going to have it. And even if they did have it, they're executed by Shock's headshot. His quadra in this round. Anti-eco frag, sure, but still. Respectable sequence from him. And again, that spray transfer was pretty beautiful. So, the 10th round for the Sinners side. Guns will come out for ONYX. It was an eco. Over the start of the half for the Sinners. Let's see whether the AWP in Impulse's hands can turn things around. He is top fragger, so it would be the right call.
Yeah, and for him, I think CT side will probably get some more comfortability, can play some more passive stuff. ONYX have got 3 over towards B early rounds. They can try and put some pressure on towards this banana control. ONYX is waiting for an early information. Jiggle peeks up, sees Oscar.
Nades on. Damage done to Oscar in a slight amount. Again, just small chipping away. It is HP. Neo frags the man has taken the majority of the damage. 60 points of health for the individual. The flashes will go over. Incendiaries will come down. Further utility thrown out by the T-side line. Face in, flashes. They're completely blind with the T-side. So Neofrag's going to fool the AWPer. Lands a shot on the B-stick. Does not connect the kill, though. He gets away alive.
Well, they can start rotating players back off because they know, even with a peek that comes through from the half wall, they're not seeing anything in this banana control. Dimki expecting a molly down from pit. They're going to start putting pressure on.
Up the short control. Bonic had the smoke. Almost gets shocked, but not quite. Dimki's there for the trade. Oscar turns his MAC 10 into the head of Dav, so it'll be a 3 versus 3. But look at that HP on Shock and B-stick. 5 points of health and 36. They're still facing into that line. He's still got Dimki down out towards the pit position, and he gets 2 frags for his trouble. Can't see that third man. Now he does. USP pulled out. Oscar somehow comes away with that kill, but Impulse lets him go no further than the 1. So 3 casualties taken by ONYX. They do have the round.
Excellent round there from Dimki. Really well played. And he's the only A player. He's got Impulse that's sort of stuck in from library, gets smoked off from Oscar on Arch side, so there's not really much he can do. It steps up to him to get a multi-frag. He ends up with 3. Arrow, though, he's actually winning a lot of these opening advantages, and for a guy this is his 10th map ever on HLTV, only debuted 6 weeks ago on LAN, he's showing up.
Yeah, no, credit where it's due, because he's the guy that we sort of looked at as being a sort of like an underdog, if you will, possibly an element that might limit the guys over from the ONYX camp, but that's not what's happened at all. We've actually been relatively pace here for them. Unfortunately, not able to get the lead at this stage. They have found a very important round, which will lead towards the tactical for the boys over on the ONYX side.
Well, ONYX have been very vague with what Arrow's position is. Now, in the Twitter post, they said he's here for a transitional period. So does that mean they're going to trial him for a little bit? Does that mean that they're waiting for another 5th player? This is probably the perfect opportunity to say, hey, I'm here on LAN, I'm up against some decent teams, give me the pickup, move me up from the academy team.
Or if they're not interested, there might be people watching. Another individual to add to their roster. You never know.
Give them the shout out. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, listen, it's the perfect stage to do so, right? First LAN back after the major.
Yeah.
So, ONYX looking to make a splash in our opening game of the event. And so far, they have made it competitive, at least thus far. Transitioning into a more technical pause at this stage. So hopefully we'll get some more information as to why we're halted at this stage. But I guess a moment of reflection here for the ONYX side. We didn't expect them to do much here on Inferno, and here they are, at least keeping it close, you know?
Well, you have to have the mindset when you're one of these underdog teams coming into an event like V4 that you possibly could get knocked out in day 1. You come here, you play a BO1, you lose it. You go into a BO3, you lose it, see you later. So you're doing as much preparation in the BO1 as you can and say, hey, if we can win this BO1, we put ourselves in a really good position because they don't have to play the BO3 later today.
No, they can wait till tomorrow. They can get fully prepped for that best of 3 and that matchup and whoever is going to be in our best of 1 later on today as well. So a lot in terms of potential, in terms of what they can do with their time between then and now. Very important match to win. It is only a best of 1, sure, but it's the very important best of 1 to open up the group stage. ONYX. They were on track to win it only a handful of whiles ago, but you mentioned they have slowed things down a little bit. Is that last round going to be a bit of a mental swing back to their favour now?
It's difficult to say because it's only one round. If they can make it 2, they can make it 3. If they're able to start pulling a streak together, then perhaps. Again, though, it's that mindset that's looming that you had such a massive lead at one point, and well, now the scoreline's actually quite close between one another. I think kill distribution is maybe something that we can start talking about. It seems like it's a lot tighter for the Sinner side than it is for ONYX. And this triple from Shock. Eco frags, we love it.
Yeah. I was replaying from the previous couple of rounds, seeing what he was able to do. And, again, that was a respectable sort of sequence for him. If it was against the Rifles, I would have been more impressed, but obviously still an impact to be able to maintain the minimal amount of damage being done here. You're right about that kill spread, though. You can see at the top end of your screens there, about 16, 14 frags or so. Only one player down towards 9 points of HP. So, or 9 points of HP? 9 frags, I should say. Don't know what HP has to do with getting the kills, but... Technical over for the ONYX side, of course. We're getting that resolved. We'll bring you updates as and when you know what's going on. Of course, to bring up to speed as well. 10-9 currently to the favour of the Sinners. And to reiterate, I wasn't expecting them to be this close.
Jacob Bondic saying, they're not speaking Russian, they're speaking English. What's going on here? What was it? The last 3 teams he was a part of was Windstrike, Gambit, and then Hellraise. And then he had that stint with Tai Lu for a little bit. He's been around the block. I think when this lineup came together, at least with the roster changes, it was an interesting one. That you've got 3 Serbs of Impulse, Dav, and Dimki, Bondic on the lineup, JR getting added. Unfortunately, JR's no longer with the team, and that's why Arrow's here today. Did play with them in the IOC at least.
ONYX still making changes since that point. Of course, you can see Bondic is disconnected from the server, so I imagine it's probably some sort of PC issue. He had the headset off, so I can imagine that there's probably just something going on with his game, perhaps. And the ONYX side. Really kind of a bad time to have a technical pause at this stage, considering they just got their one previous round. True. And we talk about momentum, we talk about how that could swing towards their favour, and just immediately getting that round and then force themselves back into a pause and to break that momentum immediately. Probably favours the Sinners more so than anything else. Yeah. You can see they can afford a relatively decent buy. I imagine Oscar should drop out for B-Stick here. So the T's will be back on the guns once again.
Maybe that's a question for Kassad and Natu in those sort of situations, right? What is the mental state? What is the response when you've finally felt like you've got a way back in and then you've got a technical delay and things start slowing down, things start picking back up? 3 rounds on the trot for the Sinners going into the second half, responded by 1. And you'd have to imagine for the economy state too of ONYX, when you have a look at just how little money is in the reserve, they really don't want to lose this round.
Yeah, very important one for them to win. As we get back into the matchup, we're ready to go. ONYX issues have been sorted and we have the guns out for both sides. Again, an AK save for Arrow. AK's brought down by everyone except for Oscar on the Sinner side. He's running the AWP. Same thing for Impulse. Arrow will look to take that first challenge in at the Bernardo control. They've got Bondic set out towards mid. Cindery up initially, near frag. Sandwiched in by the Molotovs and naded down to less than 50 HP, and Cindery might tag him even further. Counter nades coming into the stack forward, and they do try and force forward. Arrows evading the HEs and the flashbangs. Just Molotovs being thrown out. Finally, the flashes will go over, but he backs up behind the sandbag, suppressed by smokes. Neither side seeing each other. Zedko's taking a lot of map control. It all might come down to this first engagement, which Arrow could easily win. The bullets whiff right past his opponent, though.
And that was actually a pretty well timed to re-smoke down to the top of Banana, just to be able to give Arrow some safety to get back over. Yeah, they do take some damage in the response, but it's that early utility that's everything. And even Impulse with the AWP, he's pressed up aggressively.
There's crack angle here at the apartments. Oh, missing Shock. Nice peeking from him. The nade coming out, however. Impulse with a reface catches that frag in the end.
Jeez, that's ballsy. Re-peek it into a player like that as soon as the information comes up. And now even thinking about getting Bondic over towards that B side, it's going to be the execution. Sinners are going to commit with this.
Dab in the back line. Smokes go down. Arrow continuing to watch as the utility is thrown over. The spray is blinded. Will catch someone like Oscar down at below HP, but B-Stick with the man that gets the kill in the back line. So Dab taken away, and the last T-side player is suppressed behind the smoke. He still finds the kill on Zedko. So advantage for the retakers, and they will set up for the retake. They're dishing out more damage, but again, no casualties in the post plan.
I could just put a smoke down towards that top of Banana, and the HE2 from Dimki starting to come in.
Flash. Smoke ahead of the game. Too good line up for the Neo frag. He only finds the one though. Bondic extremely low. Could be traded, but it's still the advantage maintained here for ONYX. Orb of Oscar strikes on the first, not the second. It's B-Stick back at Dark. 1 on 2. They tap that bomb once. M4 watching, looking away at the wrong timing. The spray's awkward. He gets that one and not that second. Bondic barely alive, but he is alive for the defuse and for the 10th to equalize for ONYX again.
That's a massive round from Bondic right there. You could see the way that Dimki is watching that dark angle, and then all of a sudden his attention gets drawn over towards Banana just because of how late that peak came in. Bondic has to win the 1v1 on 19 HP, get that defuse forward, and this is now a couple of rounds in a row going the way of ONYX. It feels like they're back in it now.
Economy being a little bit sus for the Sinners side. They can buy that AK on Neo frag. Whether everyone else goes in for that buy is yet to be seen though. A little bit of utility thrown out by B-Stick. And no, just the pistols coming in for everyone else on this half investment hero AK buy. Seeing what Neo frag can do with this here. The ONYX camp, though, they have established their momentum. A couple of SMGs in with the damage that was done towards their CT side line, and one of them will get taken out first. AWP back in for Own Pulse, misses. Neofrag doubles up with those AKs, and now Arrow's in a world of hurt. Flashbang over, sees that one player jumping, does not attack against B-Stick. 2 more players come out, he misses that next shot. 1 trade, 2 trades, 3 trades for Bondic, brings it back into a 2-on-2.
Oh, Bondic's recovered it, and even Dimki could watch this lurk out from the long side. Oh, what a recovery this was. That was a 5-on-2 at one point for Sinners. The bomb dropped to the site itself, and Bondic makes it a quadra. What a round from him. Whether you look at it as a hero AK round or an eco or halfback, no matter, even if you look at the buy, to bring back a 2v5 when they are running up Banana, that is not easy.
Well, Natu was questioning it, but yes, Bondic is still playing, and he's playing extremely well for that round at the very least. Quadra, 11 to the board of ONYX. They have the lead again, and it felt like Sinners were just going to rush them down to that B side. Like, they could have had the round in the palm of their hands. At least with the lack of investment, they have got damage being done to the CT, so they'll force them back down to 2 SMGs again. They've got to follow it up, and they almost line up 2 kills for 1. Oscar lands Impulse to 16 points of health. Dimki's down, and that trade is so easy for the T side now.
Well, that didn't work, did it? Tried an aggressive move. Oscar's there posted on the angle, and so much damage has already come in. And for ONYX, this is just not a good stance at all. The loss bonus is starting to fall. There's not a lot of money in the reserve. And for Sinners, they're in such a good position here. They can start taking some of this map control back over to the Banana position. Keep Zedko just spamming away. At least attention drawn out to brackets. And for ONYX, they've only got 1 on B.
And the flash is going over. Dav set with smokes onto the cross. Teams will walk their way up towards Banana, completely uncontested. Dav still has that SMG and either solo holder, but now blinded, suppressed, smoked off, forced away, continuing his spray, getting nothing. Neofrag will take the engagement and actually lose it, so not ideal for him. The bomb does go down, 4-on-4. I don't think they want to press the retake, though.
No, not likely. Look for exit frags at best. Even Impulse just taking a pop shot, leaving Dav. He doesn't have a kit, so there's not really much wiggle room for him to do anything cheeky. Sinners, though, tying up, and honestly, this could just be a game of economy, Jay. Whose economy is going to get shattered first? Who's going to be forced on a reset position? Because the scoreline, it couldn't get any closer.
11-all. Sinners continuing to hang in there. An SMG exit does come out for Dav. Oscar's there for the response. He might get caught in the bomb blast, though. Close. Just stays alive. 11 points of HP, however, they are doing as much as they can over on the CT side of things. ONYX economy is a bit awkward, but they're going to force around it. I thought for a second they were going to save around the 3 rifles, and also the 2 rifles and the SMG that they saved. But no, Master's coming in, M4 dropped. Going to be a force-up.
Yeah, it makes sense. You saved a lot of players up on that A site, so just work with what you've got, bring it into the next round, see if you can get a round back itself. B-Stick's actually going to go in for a Mac 10 into this round now. We can see 4 players with head Kevlar, so I'm not sure how effective that Mac 10 will be.
That's a very terrifying camera angle to look directly into the T-side eyes. Okay. Smoke set. M4's ready. T-side default again leans into that mid position for now. They have got a bit of presence out towards Banana, expecting there to be some aggressive challenges from ONYX. Not this time, though. They've only got Arrow posted up. I imagine waiting for a flashbang. As soon as they detect there might be T-side players past Broken Wall, they'll just flash in, peek in, get a kill, get out.
It could be a bait setup too. They could even retake top of Banana if they fancy doing that late round after they gather some information. There's the smoke and molly. They're going to retake.
Smoke's on, the Molotov's over, the AK boosted. Back down a B-stick. Watch the SMG of Arrow. Flashed ahead. Takes his firefight. Wins out against B-stick, doing not much damage to the rifle players in the backline. So SMG, now the SMG fights. The smoke's down across and coffins. The AWP landed a shot on Oscar, so that's a leg to him at 20 points of health. Dav. So watching in the back lanes and the back lines of the B side, still yet to commit towards the execution. 40 seconds, Sinners thinking about a rotation here.
That's a very unorthodox setup there for ONYX. So it was a double pump of the retake. They put the nade down, the smoke and the molly, they wait, they actually get the SMG forward with a flash. Somehow they get Arrow back out to safety. And for Sinners, they've got no map control in brackets. It has to be B, and they're going to be running into the full stack.
3 players at the ready. Second wave of smokes coming in for the T side line. Got one step towards Coffins. The cross angle, it's Impulse in the back lanes, however, gets his 2 frags, makes it 3, possibly even the quadra. Regardless, Oscar's trying to escape. 3 seconds is out of the round. Arrow's going to go for the hunt, and he'll get his kill with the AK in hand. A double up for him, and what a sequence from Impulse, though.
Yeah, really stepping up, and that's probably one of the first times in a while we've seen Impulse having a big round. Normally when it's been the multi-frags, it's been the rifle players there. AWP out from pillar, left and right strafing, just finding so much impact. And now, for Sinners, you look at the money and think, Oscar's decent, Zedko's decent, everyone else, not so much.
Beautiful shooting, honestly. Really great sequence back at pillar. And that's a lead regained for ONYX, 12-11. Decals out for Sinners in this one. A flashbang at best for B-Stick. The economy state does not justify a full investment, so this is what they'll do. Sin tries if they can get some exits and do some damage, but it's Dav blind by the flash and the smoke, getting near frag. Regardless, kicking things off. Shot not too far away from him. He does fall to the hands of Dav all the same, so 2 casualties taken pretty easily here.
And normally, Jay, we would say for an underdog team, this is probably where the inexperience, the pressure starts building. Even for ONYX, yeah, not all of the players have played at a super high caliber. They've still played a lot of LAN events over their careers.
Dimki standing in wait. Ready, and Zedko takes a Ferrari peek. I've ever seen one. Shot onto the man. That drops one of the rifles. Will it convert into a sight tech? Will it convert into a second frag is the most important thing. Zedko's actually lonesome, and Impulse almost gives up the ghost. Bondix there to bail him out.
Yeah, backs him up well. Zedko with a good crouch peek in towards that balcony position to be able to start the round off. Looked like he was going to be able to follow up, but really for B-Stick and Oscar, yeah, you've got a couple of players alive. Moving that bomb over to the B side is going to be tough. Arrow with an incredibly tight angle does get seen and down to 23.
Nades up, trying to stop them from making their way forward. They are going to press it outside of that initial tag. Counter rotate comes in very quickly. If they go towards short, then they'll evade the offsite anchor of Impulse. Dav is going to be the man that has to defend against it. He's got 100 HP here, so it probably shouldn't be too much of a worry. Back over at the broken wall, 13 seconds. Walks in, shot missed out from the AWP, but Dav lines up to the M4, makes it a quadra. Anti-eco cleaned up pretty nicely. 13-11 for ONYX now. When we approach the later stages of the game, they are currently on victory row.
Yeah, Dimki looks like he's got a bit of energy behind him. It has seemed, at least when we've looked at the camera angles from ONYX, that it's been quite calm. I think some of the underdog teams like to really get riled up and try and see if they can get some confidence booming, but yeah, very calm from ONYX, and it's probably a good sign. Up 13-11, Sinners, you'd have to imagine they need to respond quickly, because if they don't respond, Jay, I do not know how much more life they've got here in this best of one.
That's the big concern, isn't it? We saw that from the early start of the game, you know? We were talking about how ONYX were the ones on the heavy lead streak. They were in at 7-0 at one point. Well, when does Sinners respond? When do the Sinners respond? It's very similar right now. We're currently on a streak for the ONYX side. 2 rounds in the lead. You don't need a 7-round win streak out to win the game, and that's the big concern. If this keeps going on, Sinners will be out in the first game. So, got to find a responsive soon. This rifle round is perfect position to do so.
This is a very unique setup coming in from ONYX. We have never seen them play 4A early round at all in this second half, and they're playing 2 on short side and that third player that can keep eyes in case there's a pop or look into the apartments, and then you've also got Arrow on long.
Impulse watching the AWP. Set with the AK, and the smoke's down a standard to suppress. Eastside players throwing out some utility to suppress that individual towards the long position. Impulse with the AWP still peeks in, catches B-Stick, the player up top of quad. There to pull distraction as Impulse gets his second frag. Arrow out towards the flower beds, not detected at all. Gets his kill on near frag to drop that bomb. 2 left standing. Dimki finds Zedko to 1. and Oscar out towards the apartments in a 1 versus 5 scenario. He's got Dinky at least, so should be able to get that one frag. But now they know where he is. They hold the crossfire. They wait for him to peek. He's got to force forward or save the weapon. He's going to try for the former option, and Impulse is there to get the ult no scrap of his own. Triple up in this round, 14-11. ONYX on the precipice of a big win.
Impulse 22 and 14. This second half, he's really come alive because the T side, he wasn't fighting much. I think he had 1 or 2 decent rounds here or there. The second half, it feels like he's all over them. And when I looked at that round in the positioning of the CTs played, it just felt like they had a massive read. That they had themselves in a position where they said, right, they're not going to take Banana. They're going to go in for a brackets take. You have got 3 players really up on that short side. And it was just the AWPer playing the bait, allowing some of those rifles to get involved. You can't say Oscar win a 1v4 for us. That's just not going to happen.
No, he is a great player, but that's just unreasonable. Sinner's taking a tactical pause there. I believe they're 3rd of the game thus far. Appropriate to do so right about now. They are 2 rounds away from the loss, 3 rounds away from catching up. They've got Tech 9s out for the half-buy. They're playing for OT, Dweg.
Yeah, I respect it. How likely are you going to be to win this kind of a round? Probably not if you force it up. So take the risk, make it 4 in a row, and try and see if you can bring it to OT.
Jump Face is watching out for info towards that second mid position for Bondik. Smokes on towards the apps entrance to the hay bales. Smashing involved from the incendiaries to ensure that they don't pop out ahead of that smoke. They will attempt to do so regardless of the AWP shot misses for Impulse. They walk out towards that long position. Flashes forward. Second shot misses as well. So good use to util for the time being here for the Sinners. Dinky able to get that kill alongside Bonnet to follow his suit. Zedco turns that Tech 9 into at least 1 decent trade. So 4-on-3 advantage. The bomb will go down though.
Definitely winnable here for Sinners if they can slow it down. They need another pick. Zedco's aggressive up in the graveyard with that M4. Try and see if they can get that rifle into with the baits of the pistols. A lot of people coming in on the short side from ONYX.
Walking towards that short angle. Zedco sees 1, bursts fire. Doesn't quite line up the second. Dav, the trade back. Tech9 shock still strikes. Swings in for the second. Going very aggressive against Dav. Impulse trades it, and it's now down to him to defuse. So 15 map and match points for ONYX. A surprising turn of events coming in for these boys. Sinners, the slow start, still not converting to their favor. And ONYX could be on to start things off well.
Another factor is converting clutches for the ONYX side. Notice how many times we've seen 1v1s go their way. It seems as if when they need to deliver at the absolute max, they're able to do so. We talk about those 7 rounds in a row that started off the map. They've now won 7 out of the past 8.
Forward to the overtime here for the Sinners side. Rifles. And for both teams in this context, the Sinners are going to need to put the best of uses to them if they want to stay alive. ONYX set towards their default. Standard 2 players out towards that long control. 3 players on B. Slowly walking into that mid default for the Sinners camp. 2 players out towards Banana as well, hoping that Neofrag can catch an overly aggressive Arrow, who has extended quite a number of times here. 16 frags deep, and he has been an impressive player thus far today.
He's been consistent, and that's been the key for ONYX. You can see Sinners trying to see if they can get some brackets control and up towards Banana. A lot of map presence being gained by them. Not a lot of utility for them to use into the late round. And for ONYX, 2 players up towards sort of pit and this sort of hay car area means that Bonnet could be able to start off onto shock.
Small nade damage done towards shock there with the counteractions. The further HGs start pouring in for the CT side as Arrow gets that opening frag on Neofrag. Out in the Banana lurk, he's down and out of the round. And Sinners want to rotate away from the A site as a response to that. They're on the mid control. They're not going to commit to the B play though.
Not just yet. And even Dimky, he's got a smoke. He's the one that's playing out from that pit position. So he might feel as if Molly's going to come his way and smoke himself off. Abs Pop looks to be coming through from Sinners. Just get a moto smoke down and fly over the top.
30 seconds. Look out the apartment, Zedco. First man out of the gate. Dimky and Bondik have the crossfire. 1 player out towards long. Smokes through. Try and extinguish or pre-extinguish any incendiaries that come out. Kills come in. They just pour in for the CTs. Bondik and Dimky drop the bomb. Dav finds Oscar. And it's all shock all alone. He finds that first, but no more than that. 16-11. ONYX will draw first blood in the V4 Future Sports Festival as they pull off the first upset of the play-in group stage.
2 rounds, Jake. Is what they got last time when they took on Sinners. They have actually beat them in the best of 1. What a result. They've got to be so happy with that one.
Oh, 100%. Again, you mentioned before how they went down by 14 rounds during the International Online Cup. That 2-0 result, they've really should have been replicated here by the Sinners side has not come out at all in the best of one context, and repeating those similar maps. The desk was worried about it. We were worried about Inferno coming in, and that's absolutely not been the case in this context. So for Sinners, it's probably going to be a victory that, or a loss, I should say, that hurts them.
Yeah, for sure, right? They're a favourite in this entire group stage to be able to probably come out on top, and knowing that they've lost to BO1, have to play a BO3 later on today, this is not a position that a favourite wants to be in.
Absolutely. So time to be very concerned, I feel like, for the Sinners side, as they will be down in the best of threes, in the elimination best of threes a little bit later on today, but for ONYX, they get that bonus of moving on to tomorrow. So, yeah, big victories on the board for those boys, and definitely looking forward to see whether they can do some damage. For now, though, I believe the desk is ready to go. It's back to Banks and the boys to break that one down.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, we are back to, I guess, say, well done to the Serbian side. Kassad, you gave him some positive luck, you know? Mental strength pushing forward.
I told you so. It's Dimke. I told you they're going to win it. I mean, it was pretty easy, right?
I thought you were already buying their bus tickets home.
No. It was for Sinners.
Ah, okay,
one thing is, Serbians are not going home today.
That's it.
It's Kassad two-faced Toledo here. I mean...
to support my countrymen.
Yeah, sure.
Don't let them see the first part of the show.
On the serious note, they played a good game, right? All of them, team-wise, they played a good game. We have to point out that they changed the IGL. It was Impulse who was the IGL, now it's Dev or David or David or whatever you want to call him. And they got, what, 8 T rounds? And after that, like, few close CT rounds, they just managed to close it out. So overall, I think the best of one suited them. The Inferno, which we thought that's not going to be good for them. I mean, we saw the statistics. They got 2 rounds last time. They won it now, and it's a great opening for them.
Yeah, and 7-0 start to go with on that T side. That's tremendous on a map like Inferno. It felt to me like Sinners were trying to throw some curveballs, especially in the early rounds when the money was a little limited. They were trying to push middle, probe around the map a lot. But hey, these ONYX guys, they were not faced by that whatsoever, and they were ready for it all, waited it out. And there was nothing super crazy from ONYX either on the T side. It was a lot about wolf packing, just going in one group, making sure you trade kills effectively, and you maintain at least even numbers going into an after-plan situation.
That pack mentality was a key to them, and the fact that the CTs, the Sinners on CT side, they didn't really defend Banana all that much. Every time they did, they got around. Every time they didn't, they lost around pretty much. It's like, you know, and that's gonna cost them at the first 8 rounds, you know.
And we've got to look at this, right, and the fact that you mentioned Natu, it was a 7-0 start for him. Then it goes to 8-7, and you think, oh, okay, well, look, Sinner's supposed to be the favourites in this. That should be enough, right, to then come back into it and look at it. ONYX held their own, and it wasn't just Dimka was looking at there, right? Impulse, you say, came off the IGL roll. Well, he also started to frag out like crazy as well.
Yeah, when you don't have to think about a bunch of different things in the game, you just focus on your crosshair and listen to your IGL, what he's saying and calling, and you have a kind of flow of your own as an op, especially. It's a really important thing. And they, on that second half, they even lost the pistol, the CT one. Exactly. They started 0-3 and they came back, which shows like a lot of resilience, I guess, especially after you lose the momentum of the first half like that.
I think we'd be unfair if we didn't mention Bondik also, who I didn't even know was still playing Counter-Strike coming in here.
Dude, one big round.
Yeah, one massive round. I mean, also, one could argue it might be the one that really like just turned this game into ONYX side altogether. It was a 5-on-2 for Sinners, and Bondi comes to the B-bomb side.
To be honest, he did kill 3 pistols. That's fine. But if he didn't do what he did, they would lose that round, and that would go into a whole another direction. I think Sinners would win that game. Yeah. So big round for him, and he saved them in that kind of specific situation.
Certainly impactful rounds in there as well, but one thing you guys mentioned when we were in the green room is just the fact that when it came to Sinners on their CT side, they were not really taking banana control for the majority of the half before they did start coming into it, right? They almost gave so many opportunities away.
Yeah, I think what we discussed also is that it was kind of unfortunate to see that neither team actually were going for like retakes in banana, try to get later round information over there, make it harder for the T side to build up the setup or the executes towards the B-bomb side.
Yeah, this is where you see completely like the difference between tier 1 and tier 2 teams, and even tier 3 like ONYX is, for example. They don't really do much of quality CS, you know, they don't think about like retaking banana, any kind of setup. We can see here all of these Dimke's round, like this is one of the big ones. This is the first gun round that he saved them to triple kill. This is what he talked about Dimke. He's a player that, you know, he's as good as an anchor, right? He is like a turret, right? He can deliver those kind of threats, and he did this time. It's one of the big gun rounds that they kind of got in their in the CT half.
Yeah, and also opened up a lot on the T side too. So he was definitely, could be argued as the MVP for ONYX.
Definitely, I'd agree with that as well. Do we now start to worry though for Sinners, considering they came in as the favourites? You said they've had a string of bad results anyway. And Nacho, I think the key point you mentioned is when you're playing against the top teams, you play very different to what you play against this level of team. It's not the same kind of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this was, I believe this was the 7th map in a row that they've lost now.
Oof.
It's a worrying sign, definitely. Especially when you go against favorites, like you said, it's a different mentality for you. Now they were the favorites, so you need to keep the kind of focus on 100%, especially in the best of one, with things can go like this. But they won like one. I don't remember what happened in the first round. Yeah, the T side won the first. ONYX won the first pistol, so it was 1-1. So it wasn't really 0-2. So they didn't fall behind too much, right? So even they had the 10-8 situation there and a good few rounds with advantages, they didn't manage to kind of utilize that, and it's a worrying sign. Definitely tomorrow they're going to be facing probably East Suba, and it's a best of 3, so I don't know.
Well, Kassad's given away his prediction for the next game already, but what we're going to do quickly now is take a break, and then when we come back, we will be getting into Ago taking on East Suba.
SMG exit does come out